No army, no soldiers, no sword in her hand. But Rome was afraid of her, the strongest empire on earth, shaking because of one woman. Kings and generals underestimated her again and again. Every single time, they were wrong to do so. Why? She was 20 years old. She had no crown, no throne, no home. Her own family wanted her dead. Think about that. Not strangers, not enemies from a foreign land. Her own blood plotting against her. But in 3 years, she would rule Egypt. In 10 years, she would control the fate of Rome itself. This is the story of Cleopatra, the last queen of ancient Egypt. A woman remembered for beauty, but feared for her brilliance. By the end of this story, you will understand why generals, kings, and emperors could not stop thinking about her. And it does not begin with power. It begins with a girl running for her life. Egypt was ancient. Egypt was rich. Egypt was proud. For thousands of years, pharaohs had ruled the land along the Nile. Temples rose from the desert. Gold filled the treasuries. But by the time Cleopatra was born, that golden age was fading. But Cleopatra's family was broken. Brothers plotted against sisters. Fathers feared their own sons. Power was a knife. Everyone held it. No one trusted it. When her father died, Cleopatra became queen. She was only 18. She had to share the throne with her younger brother. He was just a boy. But behind him stood men hungry for control. They did not want a queen who thought for herself. They wanted a queen they could control. Cleopatra refused to be controlled. Even as a young queen, she understood something most rulers never learn. Power given by others can be taken away. Real power must come from your own mind. So they made their move. They turned the soldiers against her. They turned the people against her. And one night, everything collapsed. Cleopatra lost her throne. She lost her home. She lost her guards, her comfort, her safety. She fled into the desert, alone, hunted. Imagine that fear. No palace walls to protect you, no family to trust, only enemies, waiting. She had lost everything a queen could lose. At night, she must have asked herself hard questions. Would she ever see the palace again? Would she die out here, forgotten, like so many royals before her? Loneliness is heavy. Fear is heavy. But Cleopatra carried both and kept walking. She thought of the palace she grew up in. She thought of the throne that belonged to her by right. She refused to let that memory fade. Somewhere deep inside, she made a silent promise. She would return. No matter what it cost her, she had not lost her mind. And her mind was about to become her greatest weapon. Because far across the sea, a new power was arriving in Egypt. A power that could destroy her or save her. What would you do, alone in the desert, with an empire's army arriving at your doorstep? His name was Julius Caesar, the most powerful man in Rome, a brilliant general, a dangerous man to cross. He arrived in Alexandria to settle Egypt's civil war. Cleopatra's brother controlled the palace. His soldiers controlled every gate. If Cleopatra was seen, she would be killed before sunset. But she needed to reach Caesar. She needed to speak to him before her enemies did, so she made an impossible plan. At night, under the cover of darkness, Cleopatra crossed the harbor in secret. She could not walk through the front gates. Soldiers were everywhere, so her men wrapped her inside a rolled carpet. Imagine that. Hidden, silent, barely breathing, carried like cargo right past the guards who wanted her dead. One wrong move, one suspicious guard, and her story would end right there, inside that carpet. But the carpet passed through. It was placed on the floor of Caesar's private room, and then it unrolled. Caesar looked up, not at a frightened girl, at a queen who had just outsmarted an entire palace guard. She did not beg. She did not cry. She spoke calmly, clearly, in perfect confidence. Caesar was stunned. This was not the weak, powerless exile his enemies described. This was a mind sharper than most generals he had ever met. She did not ask for pity. She did not plead for mercy. She offered him something far more valuable: a partnership, an alliance built on respect, not fear. She spoke many languages. She understood politics, trade, war, and power. In one night, she had done what armies could not do. She had won Caesar's respect. They talked for hours that night, about Egypt, about Rome, about the future of the ancient world. Caesar, a man who had conquered nations, found himself listening more than speaking, and soon he gave her his support. With Caesar's help, Cleopatra returned to the throne. She walked back into the same palace that once cast her out. This time, no one dared to stop her. She was queen again, but this was only the beginning of a much bigger story. Because empires do not stay peaceful for long. Julius Caesar was murdered by his own men. Rome had no clear leader. Rome had only chaos. Powerful men fought to fill the empty throne. One of them was a bold Roman general. His name was Mark Antony. Cleopatra needed a new ally. Antony needed Egypt's wealth, ships, and grain to fund his war. So Cleopatra sailed to meet him. Not quietly, not humbly. She arrived like a goddess, a golden ship, purple sails, music echoing across the water. It was pure theater, and it worked completely. Antony had met queens, generals, and kings, but he had never met anyone quite like her. Antony was captivated, not just by her beauty, by her intelligence, her confidence, her power. What began as a political alliance became something deeper. A partnership, a romance, a shared dream of a new empire built between East and West. They spent long nights talking about politics, philosophy, and power. They shared feasts, laughter, and secrets. For Antony, Egypt was more than an alliance. It felt like home. He had spent his life on battlefields, surrounded by soldiers and war. In Egypt, he found something different: warmth, wit, a partner who challenged his thinking instead of simply following orders. For Cleopatra, Antony was more than a general. He was a partner who saw her as an equal. Together, they had children. Together, they planned a future that stretched across 2 continents. Together, they were unstoppable. Together, they ruled 2 worlds. But love and power rarely stay simple. Every step closer to Cleopatra pulled Antony further away from Rome. And in Rome, his absence looked like betrayal. His enemies whispered dangerous words. They said Antony had forgotten his own people. They said Egypt's queen controlled him completely. Whether or not this was true, the story spread fast. And in politics, a story can be more dangerous than a sword. But in Rome, fear was growing. A young Roman leader named Octavian watched from a distance. He saw Cleopatra's growing influence. He saw Antony slipping away from Rome, toward Egypt, toward her. Octavian believed one thing: if Cleopatra was not stopped, Rome itself would fall under Egyptian influence. So he made a choice that would shake the ancient world. He did not simply prepare for battle. He turned public opinion against Cleopatra. He painted her as a foreign threat to Rome itself. He declared war, not just on Antony, on Cleopatra herself. The war came to the sea, near a place called Actium, Two massive fleets faced each other. On one side, Octavian's disciplined Roman navy. On the other, Antony and Cleopatra's combined forces. Both sides had spent months preparing. Both sides knew that whoever lost this battle would lose everything. There would be no second chance, no retreat to rebuild. This single day would decide the future of the ancient world. This was not just a battle of ships. This was a battle for the future of the entire Mediterranean world. Would you have felt fear, or would you have felt hope? 2,000 years later, we still ask that question. That is how powerful this moment truly was. The horn sounded. Arrows filled the sky. Flames spread across the water. Men shouted over the crash of wood and metal. For hours, it seemed the battle could go either way. Ships rammed into each other. Wood cracked. Sails burned. Men fell into the dark water. The sound alone must have been terrifying. Thousands of voices, screaming orders, screaming warnings, screaming prayers. Cleopatra watched from her own ship, at the heart of the chaos. Every decision now could save her kingdom or destroy it forever. Then something happened that changed everything. Historians still debate exactly what took place. But Cleopatra's ships suddenly turned and sailed away from the battle. Antony, seeing her fleet retreat, made a desperate choice. He left his own battle behind and followed her. Without their leader, Antony's remaining forces collapsed. The battle was lost. The dream Cleopatra and Antony built together, ship by ship, alliance by alliance, was crumbling in a single afternoon. And with it, everything. And with it, everything Cleopatra and Antony had built together began to fall apart. Could one decision truly end an empire? For Cleopatra, it did. Octavian's army marched toward Egypt. There was no more time, no more allies, no more armies to call. The soldiers who once cheered for her were gone. The generals who once pledged loyalty had vanished. Cleopatra had built a kingdom through intelligence, courage, and will. Now she faced the end of everything she had fought for. Mark Antony believed all was lost. He had survived countless battles. He had commanded armies across the known world. But this defeat, and the rumors of Cleopatra's death, broke something inside him, and in his despair, he took his own life. Cleopatra was captured by Octavian's forces. She had lost her husband. She had lost her kingdom. She had lost the war she fought for years to win. But one thing remained, her dignity. Even now, with soldiers at her door, she was still thinking, still calculating, still searching for a way to control her own fate. She was offered one final humiliation, to be paraded through the streets of Rome as a defeated prisoner, a trophy of conquest, a symbol of Rome's total victory, a queen in chains. She refused. Historians believe that rather than live in humiliation, Cleopatra chose to end her own life. She had ruled for over 20 years. She had outlasted enemies who thought her weak. She had built alliances that stretched across empires. A final act of control, even in her darkest hour. She had ruled as she lived, on her own terms, until the very end. With Cleopatra's death, ancient Egypt's independence ended. Rome took full control. An empire that had lasted for thousands of years was gone. But something strange happened. Cleopatra did not disappear. Not really. Her name lived on. Her story lived on, told and retold for over 2,000 years. Not because she was simply beautiful, but because she was brilliant. Artists have painted her. Writers have written about her. Filmmakers have retold her story again and again. Some told the truth. Many told only half of it. Yet the real Cleopatra was more than any painting could capture. She ruled a kingdom.
She outwitted generals. She built alliances that shaped the ancient world. She turned danger into opportunity. Again and again, she turned exile into return. She turned weakness into influence. Few rulers in history faced so many defeats and still left such a lasting mark. A woman who ruled in a world built for men. A woman who used words instead of weapons. A woman who came closer than almost anyone in history to reshaping an empire. Using only her mind, could you face an empire armed with nothing but intelligence and courage? Cleopatra did, and the world still remembers her name. Cleopatra's story is not just history. It is a mirror that shows us what one person can do, even when the whole world stands against them. It is a lesson. Power is not only about weapons. Power can be knowledge. Power can be words. Power can be the courage to keep going, even when everything is lost. Cleopatra faced betrayal, exile, war, and loss. Yet every single time, she found a way to rise again. That is the true lesson of her story. Not that she was perfect, not that she always won, but that she never stopped fighting for her place in the world. Just as Cleopatra learned many languages to survive in a dangerous world, you are learning English to open new doors in your own world. One word at a time, one story at a time. And every story moves you forward, step by step, sentence by sentence, closer to a version of yourself who speaks with confidence. Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, keep growing.